G'day, we're the Traders. I'm Roy. I coach Destroy, and I'm here with Warnie.
Coach of the Warn Dogs.
And Calvin.
Coach of Calvinator.
Now, fantasy's back for 2025. It's exciting times, and we're here to talk about not only how fun it is, but how simple it is. So let's start with the scoring. Basically, when a player's out on the ground, they're going to be scoring points. Hopefully scoring points, because they can actually go down
You can be following those live in the match centre, and it's nice and easy to do, even when you're watching it on telly.
Yeah, let's kick it off with the kicks then, because they are worth 3 points. That's one more than a handball. The best in the business last year was Errol Goulden, who led all kickers. Now, fingers crossed, he's back, ready to go.
Now, tackles for me are my favourite stat because they're a little cuddle. And
You
I
love a
a
cuddle.
So they get +4. They get you 4 points for that. But there's also the benefit where they may actually get you the free kick for holding the ball, and then you get your disposal after that. Be careful, though. Sometimes there is the free against chance if you are giving one
Don't
away.
want that.
Yeah, now some people don't like it when teams chip it around in the back line, but hey, that's why you got to play fantasy, because if you own Luke Ryan, you'll know what I'm talking about. Every time he takes one of those uncontested marks, it is worth +3, and then he gets his disposal on top of that. Did you know last year he had 18 in 1 week and pumped out a big 140?
Beautiful. Defenders can be very nice, and we actually saw a few defenders over the weekend for the Amy Community Series, and that's where we get our intel for the pre-season. When we look at the top scorers, and Connor Rozee with that 142, he really took his chance. Butters is out at the moment, and I think he's going to be a bit of a lock for my fantasy side. And another player that I loved was Nick Dacos. Now, we all know how good he is, and we saw what he was able to do in that game against the Tigers, and I think he's wanting to be in my side. He's got to buy early on, and I don't necessarily want to pick a player with a buy.
He's wanting to be in your side.
He does.
He's
He's
hungry.
his hand up. He actually said that. He's gone, Warn Dog, can you please put me in your team?
Fair call. Well, one of my boys, Matt Roberts, he dominated the end of last season, averaged 104 in his last 7. He's come out in the Amy and pumped out 112. He's going to be a lock in my team.
Okay, out of nowhere, and I'm going to say out of nowhere, but Christian Petrarca, 120 in the Amy Series. I reckon he's gone a little bit under the radar this pre-season, forcing his hand, in my opinion, to get into our team.
He's cheap. That's the thing, because he did have a down year last season. So that's something that you do look for, some of these players, ready to go. And he showed that he's ready to go.
He's ready, all right.
Now, there's 2 different formats in fantasy. We've got our Fantasy Classic and our Fantasy Draft. So Fantasy Classic, it's where we've got 17.8 million to pick a team, basically.
Yeah, 30 players. You've got to get a bunch of primos.
Yeah.
You need some mid-price players and some rookies as well.
For sure.
Now, the draft format is great. We are loving that a lot because the platform's been rebuilt, and we're excited about what that looks like, and actually performing your live draft's fun because you're taking on your mates, and every player's unique. So if there's only one player can have, or one coach can have Nick Dacos, and that is hopefully me.
The draft day itself is one of the greatest days on the sporting calendar.
It certainly is.
So line up all your mates, book it into the calendar, have a bit of fun.
Gosh, you're all over Nick Dacos.
He loves Nick Dacos.
So anyway, with both formats, every week you're picking your captains, you're picking your emergencies. In Classic, you're using your 2 trades a week. And in Draft, you're hitting up that waiver wire, and you're also throwing some trades out there with your mates. Okay, let's talk Fantasy Classic. That's where we've got our 17.8 mil. We've got an empty ground. We've got to fill it with 30 players. Now, players are priced based on last year's performance. Some are even discounted if they were injured throughout the season. And then when they start playing, if they're playing well, their value goes up. If they're not playing well, their value basically goes down.
Value is the key to the game, and so we've been studying very hard to see who might be those value players, and it actually goes all the way back to the trade period for me when 3 ex-Bulldogs, they found some new clubs, and I'm going to start with Jack McRae. Now, I think he is an absolute lock for our side because, well, look what he's going to be doing there at the Saints. He's in the midfield, clocked in, I think, 80% of the centre bounce attendances there in that Amy game, and so he's going to be there. He's averaged over 120 in the past, so he may not get there, but he's a lock for me in the forward line.
Oh, well, same for me. He looked really hungry. He'll be getting his 30 touches a game. Now, Bailey Smith, how he is so cheap, it's almost unbelievable, but it's that 30% discount he got because he's missed so much footy. Now, I think he's going to be back in the middle, obviously playing in new stripes for the Cats, and I think he's just a walk-up lock.
I like it. Now, this is a little man, but a big heart. We're talking Caleb Daniel now. This new role at the Kangaroos is mouth-watering.
Yeah.
Thing is, though, he's going to be taking heaps of kick-ins. Last year, he wore the substitute vest on 8 times. Now, this is a role that even I would be able to score with.
Well, I know, you're actually right. So you look in the past, though. So Zeebel's dominated back there. The Fish dominated back there. I can imagine you taking kick-outs with your little size 8 boots. The unbelievable
Anything that would be loose ball for Cal would be good because no body contact would be an important thing for you.
Oh, come on, you two.
Perfect.
I'm going to say as well, another player that I've got is Clayton Oliver. So he had probably, his worst season last year. Down on fantasy points, and I think he's looking like he's just perfect and ready to roll now. So he's just going to be a member of the Warn Dogs without a second thought at this stage.
Oh, without a doubt, he looked great. And I think he kicked 3 snags as well, so he could be in for a massive year. Now, rookies, when we're talking value, you've got to talk about the rookies because they're the cheapest players in the game. They're also the access to those price increases that I talked about earlier. So we need to pretty much know the ones that are going to play. We need to know the ones that are going to score. Cal, can you help me with that?
Got you covered, mate.
Well, no, I'm going to actually pull the first trade of the season here this year. We're getting rid of our Calvin. We're going to bring in this Cal. Cal Twomey.
I'm back in the studio. What an upgrade there.
Thanks, Cal, because honestly, I was worried when I did talk to Cal about the rookies because he's got no idea, mate.
Well, that's why I'm here, isn't it?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're across it. Now, we want to look at the draft class from last year and what we've got coming into this season. Who are your top plays? Like, we're looking at players. We want job security as one, but we want some scoring ability as well.
Well, they're the obvious ones who are the early picks for reasons, aren't they? And Levi Ashcroft has been a ball hog for his whole life and already has shown that he can be that player at AFL level. So I'd be locking him in for the next 10 years of AFL fantasy, basically, and saying this guy can take me to the promised land. Harvey Langford, I've been a big advocate for Harvey across his junior footy. I think the reputation as the baby Bont is well earned, and in time he's going to be that player who can also go forward to kick goals, and he marks well. So, points in marks and goals, he'll be able to hit the scoreboard at different stages this year. Isaac Kako, we're all going wacko for Kako as fantasy coaches, and that's for good reason. This guy is going to play every week. Hopefully, Warney kicks 30 goals in his debut season for the Bombers. Joe Berry is a lock. I think if he stays fit, he plays every game this year for the Power, so they're wrapped in his performances. And Murphy Reid as well, who probably started the pre-season outside of that top 25 players for them, has done a really good job in the first couple of weeks for Fremantle. So I think he's a chance to hold on to one of those half-forward roles there. So there's some of the first rounders who I think are right in that mix. Cody Angove as well looks every bit likely to debut in opening round. Lucas Campriali on some value. Like, where's that come from? It's a really good story. And he's been a ball winner his whole life. So he's another one that I'll be putting some money into.
So those draftees are very good for us because they are nice and cheap. But some players can remain cheap as well that may have played or not even played a lot. But Zach Reed's one of those. So I'm thinking about that as a Bombers man, Cal.
Yeah.
His basement price is $230K. So can we lock him in with some confidence? What's he going to do for us? Will he take some marks and do all those things?
He'll do everything we know he can do as long as he stays fit. And that's the question mark for all of these decisions, isn't it? But he's a kicker and they like him with the ball in his hand. So if you have a key back who, one, is going to take some kick-outs, and he'll probably share that duty a bit with Jordan Ridley if they're both fit. He's going to play every week and be used as a ball distributor. So I absolutely think he'll be one to lock in, and fingers crossed he can get the best out of himself in year 5.
Perfect.
A couple of Giants I like, Cal. Connor Stone, he's made that obvious switch to half-back, and I think he's probably done enough to maybe get a start. But my favourite is Lonnie Boy James Leake. So Mr Versatility, he can play forward.
You guys really have a Tassie band, though. You're going to be in trouble in a couple of years, aren't you?
I know, a world of hurt, mate.
Devils. Yeah.
It will be full of it, yes. And anyway, so Leake, he can play forward, he can play back. But I've noticed, especially in the Amy, he was thrown in the middle. Now, there's gaps in their team at the moment. What do you think of Leakey's prospects?
Oh, look, I like James Leake. Job security is probably a different challenge for him compared to some of these other guys, though. It can be being the master of a few trades and the jack of none yet is sometimes an issue for younger players because you get moved around without having that obvious spot. He'll get some opportunities this year, though, and he's fit. So that's a good start for him. I think what you spoke around Connor Stone, well, he had some big interest from Essendon to come home last year. that was knocked back on the basis that he sees himself being a big part of their unit going forward. So yeah, I like it.
Yeah, perfect.
Well, Cal, thank you very much. You are a legend. You've given us some good insight, but I'm going to pull my next trade of the season, and that's getting you out because you've been like a cash cow. You've done your job. Thanks very much. We'll get this cow back in.
Thanks, Cal.
So, Calvinator, you're back, and the reason we've got you back is because we are going to be talking. Well, captains. You get double points for captains, and you're the man that knows what you're doing with that. So premiums is where they usually come from. Is that right?
I'm the captain of the captains, Roy, is what they call me. Now, when we're shopping in that area, I like to go straight to the top dog. Highest averaging defender last year was Harry Sheasel with 112. Look, we all have him surely locked into our teams.
Well, he has been a bit in and out, but after watching the Amy series and his just hunting ability, like it's Nick Dacos-like, and that's enough to get him back in my team.
I don't think that midfield role is even going to be too much of a worry about his scoring because he had the nice ball off that halfback that we do like in fantasy, but he was also very, very good straight through the middle.
Look, the other one straight to the top of the list of the Amy Community Series, that's going to be Connor Rosey with 142. Now, one can't expect that every week, but without Zach Butters, his time in there is going to increase, more ball to be had. Got him locked into?
Locked in. That easy draw was enough for me, let alone that much form in the pre-season.
Yep, opportunity's going to be there, so I think you need to have him in your side.
You do.
Righto, let's talk about draft. It's the best way to play fantasy with your mates. If I had to liken it to anything, it would be like Christmas Day for footy fans. So it is so much fun, especially draft day, getting all your mates together. Now, there has been a big overhaul and it's been a successful one. It looks great, it sounds great, as you'll find out when you're drafting. And basically you can customise it to however you want with your friends.
Yeah, lots of cool things there. I like the lineup stuff. You've got a new flex position where you can basically choose a player from any of the positions alongside your defenders, midfielders, rucks and forwards. And the injury replacement, which I think this year is going to be used a little bit because we've had quite a few injuries in this pre-season. We've seen that. Other bits and pieces part of it, you can just adjust so much of the game and just make it fun for you and your mates.
Yeah.
Now, leading into draft day, you need to organise your draft order. Now, ways we've done it in the past is with a random horse race, a Spotify playlist, Royal Rumble. What you don't want to do is complicate things like our mate Brett did, where no one understands what's going on. But we got there in the end.
We certainly did, and I must admit, there's a bit of sicko in me that enjoyed the confusion.
Well, fired up the group chat. I think that's an important part of the game as well.
Now, one of my most favourite features, I guess, is the draft board. It's colour-coded, which certainly helps me understand what's going on, but it helps you pick up the flow of what's happening in the draft, and apart from just being great visually.
So we've had a few drafts already, and one of those is our draft kit. So you can go and download that now at afl.com.au, and in that we picked our players, and I think it played out pretty well. Cal, you were pretty happy with having pick one.
Pick one's an easy one for me. I obviously went with Tristan X Eri, or the Cherry, wherever you want to go with. So at the end of last year, he averaged 125 to round it out, coming off a 133 in the Amy with 14 tackles, if you don't mind. His ability to just tap it down and then go tackle that guy is next level. Must be number one on draft day.
Well, my first round pick, I actually ended up going with my mate Zach Merritt. And you guys didn't like it, but I've done it because he's actually going for his 10th season in a row, averaging 100 or more. No other player has done that, and that's something that there's a bit of safety in that. And a safe pick is nice, especially when you're spending your first round pick on someone. You want to know that you're going to get that and to be able to make them your captain.
This is the year of Horn Francis, I think, boys. He's going to explode. So he was solid last year, averaging about 90, but he's going to take that to triple figures. What I have seen this pre-season is phenomenal. I think he's just about being best on. I think that early drawer and Butters being out, Hornbag, I lock him in first round.
And one thing, Roy, you have actually been very quick on getting some of these forwards in drafts. You've started that run where there might be Bailey Smith, a Jack McRae, and also then Horn Francis, who could be F1 for the season.
Well, I think there's some stars at the top and then it drops off really quick. So if you can lock in two of them, you're absolutely laughing. But he's in the mix with probably McRae for F1, I think.
Now, you can get all your picks at the top, but you still got to draft them later on. And the way to find your value players are what we call our sleepers. So I'm going to, the key thing I'm looking at there is player with their average draft pick that might be a little bit lower than where they should be going. What are we thinking about there?
One for me is a first rounder that should be maybe going in the top 10. I'm talking Jordan Dawson here. So he's got an ADP, an average draft pick of 21 in the Amy Community Series. Comes out bulk mid-time, racks up heaps. He had a big score. He can be a top 10, better than where he's placed at the moment.
Yeah, I think people are forgetting about Kieran Briggs because he's had a bit of an interrupted pre-season. That's not going to stop him having a real thumper this year. And he hasn't been getting picked up till 75 is his ADP, which actually places him as the 13th ruck. And there is no way he's the 13th ruck. He's easy top 10. And I reckon he could push triple figures this year, Briggsy.
Rucks are very interesting too because you find your value essentially around those later picks. I think you might get your Tristan Sherry early on, but finding a Briggs that late in the draft could be good. Just like you might be able to find a nice defender in Harry Perryman. I think that his role could be fantastic at the Pies now that he's moved there. So he played through the midfield, and that's what we want to see for these players. He did all right off halfback, but he had bulk midfield time, and I think that's going to be a key to him building a decent score profile this year.
Yeah, so managing your draft team throughout the year is so much fun, and having a group chat and the banter that comes with it, it honestly can't be beaten. So you're picking your captains each week, your emergencies, but it's pretty low key. You don't have to spend too much time with it. You might want to hit the waiver wire or a few trades with your mates. So obviously gets that the chat happening.
You can set it up with trophies. You can have chat groups, of course.
Yep.
Also punishments if you want to go down that path. But that's that's probably not recommended. We'll
Tattoos on bums is a very fun thing to do, or not very much fun.
It's a little bit over the top.
Anyway, fantasy draft, fantasy classic as well is all ready to go now at fantasy.afl.com.au. So go and download the app. You've got that, and also hit up our socials at AFL Fantasy everywhere, so you can stay up to date and be ready for a cracking season.
Yeah, join us. We'll have some fun along the way. So get in, sign up. Have some fun playing fantasy with us.